and AI. It's here to stay. Get exposed to it, learn about it, test it out.
Ultimately is for the best of your practice and for your clients. And it will just help you out, and you'll be, I think, happier to use some of these tools, implement some of these things, because it'll make your life better as a practicing attorney and just as a human being that wants also to have some of their time back.
Okay, Ken, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful Saturday. It's been rainy, but it's a nice sunny day today.
Yeah. So we decided to come in today, do a recording together on Tech and AI Tools 2025 edition. Last year, we actually did a video on Tech and AI Tools for solos and small firms, sharing some of these tools, software, AI that we use in our practice. And we just wanted to share and kind of give our thoughts about them. And we wanted to do this again in 2025. A whole year has passed. Tech keeps evolving. We're, trying to learn as much as we can. There's new tools. There's also same tools we've used last year, but we've learned and have, how do we best implement them in our practice, in our business. So.
Yeah. 100%.
That's what we are doing here today, and we hope it's of some value to those who are listening, whether you're a solo or small firm. We hope that this can give you ideas on what's out there and how you can use that to help build your practice. So we're going to dive into that. And Kenny, kind of in this discussion, in our conversation here, we did a webinar a couple months ago on this topic. And I think you came up with a really great framework on how you approach that presentation. It was a webinar, it was a presentation that we did. Do you want to kind of lay that out just so people know how we're going to go about this conversation between us?
Yeah, briefly. So essentially what it is that we're talking about tech and AI. The way to think about it for us was to do, you're building a house. And when you're building a house, that's the analogy. I grew up with my dad. I've mentioned this before. My dad did construction. I grew up on job sites with him, and I was there during the summer working with him, right, framing, doing whatever needed to be done. And I think about tech here as that analogy. It's that first, in order to build a house, you need to get permits, right? You need to get permits from the city. There's certain things that you're going to need to follow, paperwork, permission, you need to comply with various ordinances, et cetera, to be able to build. So first you need your permits, and we'll talk about that in a minute here with technology. And second, you start to lay the foundation, right? You don't just start building a house, putting up wood and, nailing it. No, you need to build a solid foundation first. It's the footings, it's all the concrete, it's all the stuff that's under the house, but it's what's going to stabilize the house. And so there are foundational things here with tech and AI, like case management systems, CRMs. We'll talk about those. And you also start building the actual house, like the framing, right? It's the wood that gets put up, and everybody kind of sees and thinks, oh, wow, like a house is finally being built. And so that's sort of that second stage. And the third stage is the finishing touches. It's all the finish. It's the stuff that everybody sees when they go to a house, right? It's the beautiful crown molding. It's the base molding. It's the paint. It's all the things that everybody loves. So we have those things that with tech and AI as well. It's the things that are fancy that everybody really likes. It's like, oh, wow, here's all these things that we can use. But before you even get there, I think there's some foundational things that you need to lay. So that's sort of the roadmap. It's building a house. It's permits, foundation and framing, and then we talk about the finish.
Perfect. I love that. That was a great analogy that you had come up with. And so we're going to get into that. So why don't we talk about the permits? I said it's not always the most exciting things, but it is the necessary kind of baseline things that you need to get started. Yeah. And for tech and AI, it's still the concern even in 2025 is security. Maybe there's hesitations with AI as well, because how safe is my data going to be, my client's information? We're dealing with very sensitive information here. Yeah. So that's always something you want to look into with any of these tech AI tools that you look into. All the ones that we're mentioning today actually, do have the necessary data and privacy security. But I do want to mention quickly what you're looking for What kind of measures in a company, in a product, do you need to look at to make sure that it is good, it's safe to use for you and your practice? So,
and that's what's helpful, by the way, because that's what people want to know. It's like everybody says you need to be secure, you need to make sure it's safe, and they just say that, and then they don't tell you actually what you're looking for, right? And so, can you just tell us what those things actually are?
Yeah, briefly, without getting even too complicated either. You want to look for what's called SOC 2 Type 2 and HIPAA compliance. You want to make sure software or company has these in place in their business. So with SOC 2 Type 2, it's data security and compliance around the different tools that a company uses. You know, a company that's, using Gmail or Outlook, Dropbox, Google, etc., that their systems, their things that they're using to run their business, that it's there's data security around that. And usually you have to get audited. These companies have to be audited by a third party, licensed, certified public accountant, a CPA firm, for example, like Deloitte, and to make sure that they've completed these checklists of items that need to be completed. So briefly, that's SOC 2 Type 2. And then there's HIPAA compliance, making sure that these companies as well have systems in place to ensure the client's data, so us as the client's data is kept confidential, private, and secure.
And our clients, as in our clients, the people that we represent, right? It's the medical records, and we want to make sure that their records are actually safe and maintained. And that's where HIPAA compliance is so important, because as attorneys, that's all we're worried about, right? It's like, we don't want to put medical records, information on our clients up in a program or on the cloud and software that is going to be accessed by somebody else, right? And we'd be breaking attorney-client confidentiality at that point if we do that. So, making sure that companies have this and are HIPAA compliant is of the utmost importance. Yeah.
So cybersecurity, privacy, data protection, all very important. So those two things you always want to look for: SOC 2 Type 2 and HIPAA compliance. And normally, when you're looking into a product or software, they're going to have them on their website. They're going to say that we're SOC 2 Type 2 HIPAA and HIPAA compliant. Yeah. But you can also check and ask a company for these reports and certificates if you want to be really sure, and they'll have to give those over to you. But those are really two things that you want to look for.
Right. Exactly.
And so that covers that in terms of cybersecurity data. Like I said, the permits. I said it's not the things you always see, but they're essential, basic information, basic things you want to look into. So now we want to get into the kind of the foundation and framing, which is law practice management tech tools. Yeah. And so what do we got there, Ken?
So now that, we have those permits, we know, okay, cool, this tech company, whatever, has those in place. What is it that we need? We want a case management system. And that's foundational, because this is what's going to house all your case files and information, client information. And so what's a case management software? It's cloud-based, and that's so important nowadays, right? It's a cloud-based software where firms can better organize everything that they have: their cases, client information, task tracking, document storage, all the works, and it allows people to access their documents no matter where they're at. We travel quite a bit, especially sometimes we're fortunate to speak at various conferences, and that's traveling throughout the state or outside of the state, and we're able to work no matter where we're at and access our files no matter where we're at, because it's all in the cloud. I think people are used to that now, but it's still, if somebody hasn't or is not using it, it's super important, right? And this goes beyond Dropbox, because Dropbox is essentially document storage. It's what Dropbox is. You're able to store your documents in the cloud.
And that's what we were using before, right? We're using Dropbox.
And I think, it works very well for many solos and small firms, right? I mean, that's what you need. You want your documents there. But one of the things that we talk about all the time here with us, at least, is that we want to be efficient and effective and do everything we do with excellence, right? And so what happens is that we want something beyond document storage, right? We want something that can create templates for us, that can keep track of, everything, all the calendar. It can create workflows and deadline chains and all these things, right, that help us just be more and more effective. So I'll give an example of one right now in a minute, but that's the key thing. It goes beyond document storage. I think Dropbox works great when you're starting off as well, but even when you're early on, which is something that we did, we started using Dropbox early on, but even early on, we said, you know what, let's bring in Filevine, which is what we ended up using and still use, even at a very early stage where maybe we didn't need it, but it helped us because over the years, we've been able to tap into more and more of what Filevine offers. So it helps you communicate, manage so many different things, and keep track of everything, generate pleadings, keep track of deadlines, like I said, calendaring, communication with your team, with clients, keeps tracking of costs, all those things. So, yeah, exactly. Tasks, and I'll mention that in a bit. And, there's many different companies that do that. There's Filevine, there's Clio, Smart Advocate, Litify, MyCase, many others. And, we're not saying that Filevine is the absolute best. We definitely do love the offerings that Filevine has. And I use it all the time. I really love it. From the tools that it offers. Now, I will say sometimes their customer service could be a little bit better, right?
Yeah, so it takes a little while.
Because it takes a little while
to get a response.
Yeah,
but that's just been our experience.
Yeah,
so maybe as a smaller firm, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Maybe bigger firms get more attention, but that's our experience.
One of the things that we love about Filevine is that it's so customizable. So we can get in there. Sharon does most of this for us, almost all of it for us. Really, is that anything that needs to be changed can be customized and done, and it's so cool because we have meetings pretty weekly and where we talk about, hey, this needs to be changed. Can we add this? And I love it because it's very customizable and change it to however we want and need, depending on what type of case we have.
Yeah, and I just on that point, Kenny, that you're always learning and adapting, customizing it. I think that's helpful for people to think about. I think sometimes there are some great products that we've heard that said that are great right out of the box. But we kind of went we want to be able to customize our routes.
Yeah.
And I think you briefly mentioned it, but we have these weekly, we try to do it weekly meetings, try to keep it to 30 minutes. What are ways that we can better improve Filevine, customize it ourselves? So I think that's something helpful for people to know. At least with Filevine, there's a lot of customization. It's kind of the back end stuff that, if you have someone or if you're willing to learn it, that you can learn how to make changes in the back end. But I think it's helped us out a lot, and we've been able to do, create task flows, do all these stuff, and it's been very helpful.
And so we give an example of how this type of changes that we make. But maybe what we'll do is just start off with the basic thing that I liked about Filevine when we first got it, before we started tapping into any of the other cool things that Filevine allows for, is like tasks, right? Is that you're able to assign tasks and which team member has to complete that task, and who assigned it, when it's due. And that's just something of the simplest thing, and it's so much better than just doing a bunch of alerts or events, calendars on Outlook, or keeping track of something on an Excel sheet, or which is some those things that we all did before, right? Or maybe just a piece of paper, you're just keeping track of to-dos and things. And I love that those tasks are there. You can see when they're due in the next 3 days, in the next week, or create all these things. And so it's really awesome. You can see when they're assigned, when they're overdue, when they're completed. And so this idea of tasks being there with all your cases is really great.
And I love we've done even automated, right? We can assign tasks, but automate them too. And I think you've mentioned that it helps clear up your headspace too. Instead of remembering, I need to do 100%. this, and this on these types of cases. Yeah. It's just already there.
Let's take the most kind of basic type of case as personal injury attorneys, right? Like an auto v auto case, right? That you sign up. That there are a couple things that you have to do. You have to send a letter of representation, right? You have to, if there are some records that they've already gone to the hospital, you want to request those records. You want to contact the first party carrier because there might be UIM, right? And all these different things that have to be done. Contacting the client, right? If the attorney wasn't the one that did the intake, right? Somebody on your team did. As the attorney, I always want to touch base with the client after we've signed them up, no matter what, right? And so what was happening initially is that, we'd sign up a case and I'd go, okay, we have this in case. And I would start typing out, setting this task. Okay, Kenny, do this by this day. Sharon, do it by this day. Kenny, da-da-da. We go through it. And every single time a new case signed up, I would go through that whole sequence. Right. It takes time. We know what it is, but it takes sort of like brain space, right? Because you have to go, okay, what was it? Okay, yeah, write this out. Recall, exactly. And what I love about these automated tasks that you just described is now when a case gets signed up and it gets pushed into our case management system, into Filevine, automatically it sets tasks, right? I'm not thinking about it. I just, I might not even know we signed up a case, right? Maybe you signed it up, and I'll get a task and go, oh, okay, oh, great, we signed up this case, right? And like, I know this is what we have to do. It's just tasks that come up. And we're not thinking about it. It's just a matter of then checking things off. And so we have those set up. There's also deadline chains, speaking about that, right? Which is, and workflows, right? You can set things up based on a particular deadline. So one of the things that, for example, that we recently did is we have trial coming up, right? And so now Sharon created a deadline chain so that all those trial deadlines that everybody's looking for, right? That we were doing this, right? We were asking folks around, like, hey, want to make sure we had the best 100 days before trial, like the deadlines and all those things, and making sure that we had all the right days and set up. And sometimes you do those by hand, or maybe you have an Excel sheet and it calendars things out based on the date, and then you still have to put it in calendar, and there's all this stuff that has to come up that follows after you do the original work, and that takes time. Now, we have a trial date. Sharon, we just plug in the trial date, and automatically in all our calendar, it shows when everything's due. I'm not thinking about it anymore. It's calendared already. It's on our reports. We're not worried about any of it. And if trial gets continued, like we just had trial continued, you just put the new date, and you don't have to recalendar everything. It just automatically recalendars everything. And that's
very cool.
Amazing, right? Workflows as well, right? It's like, what's an example of a workflow? I'm blanking right now in the moment, but let me see.
What do you mean workflow?
Like task flow, workflow? For example, exactly. So let's say like there's workflows, going back to the auto case, right? You complete a task. Like let's say you complete the, you send a letter of rep to a third-party carrier, right? So I click done, that the task is done. But now once I click done, that automatically generates a few things. Like it sets a task maybe a week later, make sure that you get the letter of acknowledgement, confirm coverage, confirm liability. Again, these are all just tasks that are being automatically set, nothing that I need to check up on or write or remember to write. It's just, I sent the letter of rep, working on something else now, and then maybe in 3 days, all of a sudden I get this task going, hey, make sure that you get the acknowledgement letter. It's like, oh yeah, I haven't gotten that yet. Hey, adjuster, have you gotten my letter of rep, right? Again, taking away the amount of time that you have to think about things to be more efficient. These are just things that have to be done, but you don't have to write these out for every single case and redo everything, right? It takes up too much time. It frees up for me now my mind and being able to think and worry about things that are much more important. Right. Maybe going quicker now. There's calendaring. I love the sync between Outlook and Filevine, back and forth. Whether it's on Filevine or on Outlook, I can see everything that's due. I love that we can generate reports. And so, weekly it generates a report about what's due, what's coming in the next couple of weeks, and it's just there.
Ensuring we got our settlement checks as well. Like we can create those kind of reports, like any settlements that have been made in the past few days or past few months. Keeping track, so many things you can do with those custom reports.
Yeah. Any type of report, really, and any analytics that are in there that Filevine will track. Cloud storage is unlimited. It's huge, right? I remember when we were first talking with Filevine, I couldn't understand that concept, right? Because you go you feel like you have to pay for more storage, right? Like that's what happens on Apple, right? Every single time you reach like a certain amount, you start getting emails like, you need to pay more to be able to get more storage. And you're like, but no, it's unlimited storage. No matter what, right? Video, documents, whatever it is, it's just unlimited. As long as you have it, you can use it. They also have an AI suite, and we can talk about that in a minute when we get to the finish stuff. But their AI suite is really cool. And so I think, so many options that Filevine offers, and the flexibility to be able to customize things helps. For example, like when we're working on something like depositions, right? And they have these things called sections on the left-hand side, and a section for depositions, for pleadings, for discovery, and you go there, and then you can create individual cards. For example, if I'm deposing the defense neuropsychologist. You then click that card, and you can get the depo notice there. Everything, all the information is there. But there are some times where we go, you know what? A lot of these things are being done remote now, right? And I don't see a space for me to be able to plug in the Zoom link, right? So Sharon, hey, can we make sure that we add that, and we can customize that, and you can add that, and so much more that you can do, and do it instantly because it is so customizable, right? I think many people sometimes use these case management systems, and they're very effective in pre-litigation, but we are on the mission to also make it completely make sense during litigation, right? And that's what we've been doing now. We're going through trial as well, and making sure that it makes sense from beginning to end, right? And that's where I want everything. I don't want our attorneys or staff or anybody to, keep things on their desktop, right? Because it doesn't make sense on the case management system. And really, that's our mission. And so it's been fun working on those things.
Yeah. And I love, like I said, all these things, it's stuff that we've learned over time.
Yeah, 100%.
Having those meetings. Yeah. And I think it does require work on the front end, right? To set all this up. Yeah. But it'll pay off in the long run as well. So if you encourage people to, invest time in whatever a case management platform you use, like invest the time to look into it, see what it offers, see if ways you can customize to make it work for your business, for your practice best. Yeah. And put in that front end work. And over time, hey, we set up a lot of things, but things may change over time. And the great thing is that we can go back and change it however we like as we continue to grow and expand. So it's very cool. All of these tools, I think, require some front end work. It's not simply, set it and forget it. Yeah. Like you have to learn these tools. Yeah. Like, as great and helpful as they are, they do require us to put in some work to best utilize and maximize what it has to offer. Yeah.
And there definitely is a commitment to that, Sharon, to your point. And you're not going to hit the ground running necessarily, right? But the long view is that it is going to make your practice better and more efficient. Exactly. And that's what we all want.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love that discussion on Filevine. When you say it's our favorite, one of our favorite tools. Yeah. Really, really great. And the foundation. Every single day we're on it. Foundational thing. So then the other kind of foundational piece of what we're doing with tech and AI that we added it last year, beginning of last year, was a customer relationship management system, AKA a CRM. Maybe we've heard of it before in other types of businesses, but it can apply in law as well. So it's a CRM. What is a CRM briefly? It's a software system that helps businesses manage their interactions with customers. And so what is that? How does that benefit? How does a CRM benefit lawyers, attorneys? It helps keep track of leads. We were noticing before we got our CRM that I'm about to discuss is maybe we get leads, potentials, maybe we'll sign them up, we have to get more information, but we put those leads, we came up with a naming convention as well, but we put them in Filevine. And it just became it got mixed. There were just so many cases of ours that we've signed up, but then all these potential cases too. And, it just got to be a lot. And we're there's got to be a better way to organize this and stay on top of these leads, right? And for us as attorneys, we know leads are important. You have to attend to them as quickly as you can, evaluate them, and keep those leads moving and signing them up. So that's what's helpful really with having a CRM is keeping track of those leads. And it also, CRMs provide reports, analytics, so you can keep track of how many leads you're signing up per month, or how many leads come in the door, how many of those are you signing up, what's the average over the months, over the year. A lot of great analytics there too. And there's also a lot of great, with the CRM I'm about to talk about, even integrations as well, that you can integrate it with, your Google, with like MailChimp, if you do emailing, if you have a call handling center like Smith AI or CallRail, that you can integrate those and they can connect to CRM, to your CRM as well. And so the one that we ended up landing on was Lead Docket, which is a Filevine product. And so we liked it, and we've heard we had heard good things about it. Took a meeting and we went with that. And
which, by the way, it's a Filevine product, but it works with other CRM systems because it's an independent one. Just for people, in case you don't have Filevine and you think this sounds cool, you can still use it.
Yeah, we've heard attorneys who actually use, what is it?
Like
Clio, and then they use Lead Docket as their CRM. So thanks for bringing that up, Ken. So yeah, we use Lead Docket, and even, this past year was, it's been like a full year since we've used it. And I mean, we still continue to use it.
I love it.
A lot of things that you can do with it is put your intake forms in there, like set up your intake forms. So they do kind of have out of the box features like for MVA intakes or premises liability. But what we've ended up doing over the past year is customizing it for our kind of how we want to do it, how we want to do our intakes. So, it does require, again, some little back end stuff like editing, customizing, organizing your questions. Yeah. But now when a MVA case comes through, I could just click that this is an MVA type of case, and boom, all those questions I need to ask come up.
The MVA intake.
MVA intake as well with premises liability or a wrongful death case. That's those kinds of cases that we focus on. So it's been helpful. And even then, it's so quickly, I love that even when you're doing an intake, let's say we know we want to take this case, we change the status to, we're like, hey, this is a case that we want to sign up. In that moment, even when I'm on the phone with the lead, with a potential client, in that moment, I can send them a retainer agreement because we've also put them in there, right? We've also set it up with VineSign, which is another Filevine product as well, without getting so into the details on that. But we use VineSign. It's like DocuSign, right? And so we set it up, and I can send a retainer in just seconds with all the pre-filled information from the client, everything we need. Send it over to the client, stay on the phone with them, make sure they've signed it up, and that's how quickly we can sign clients up. It's really like a push of a button. And so it's been really great for us. It's been great even to see the analytics side of stuff. I love looking at the numbers, the trends of clients, how many we're signing up per month. And the numbers help inform us as well, like what changes we need to make. Oh, things are slowing down. What's going on? Or things are going really well. That's great.
An example of the numbers, Sharon, is like when when somebody calls, one of the first questions we'll ask is like, how do they hear about us, right? And they'll say, oh, Instagram or whatever. It's a friend or attorney or family friend or whatever it may have been, billboard, whatever. And we note that. And now when you run the report, in a couple months or whatever it is, it'll tell you how many came from each particular source, and that informs our marketing budget and marketing efforts.
Right. Yeah, whether it's from attorney referrals, family, friends, past clients, Instagram, social media, all that information is it's helpful, it's informative for our business and the decisions that we make. So love all that. There's even AI features in that they've added over these past couple months, such as, I do an intake and you take a look at it. They have like an AI lead summary at the top. So it gives you a good summary. I think it's gotten better as well. At first, I don't think it was that great, but it's gotten better. Gives you a good breakdown of what this case is about. And I think that, again, saves time, and can help us make decisions like, okay, this is a case we want to take. And, we need more information for this case before we take it on, et cetera. And so Lead Docket, I think it's been really great for us. As I said, there's a lot of integrations in there as well. Sometimes we do use like a third party call system during off hours, like Smith AI. They take calls and they fill in our intake form, and that shows up in our CRM as well. If, recently started getting into, running ads, there's back end stuff that goes on there, but someone, fills out some a form from like a third party or third party form, that can show up in our CRM as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great features. Like I said, it's analytics. It's tasks as well can be assigned in lead docket.
Yeah.
Keeping cases flowing, keep them moving, potential cases, excuse me.
Yeah.
And I think it's been really helpful for us.
And I love being able to have those two things separated in different sort of software programs, right? Not having everything in one, but now they're in two different areas. And I love that. It's cleaner.
And there are also other CRMs as well, without getting even more deeper into lead docket. Love it. There are other CRMs such as Clio Grow and Law Ruler. We haven't personally, used them, but those are other great CRMs that we hear are out there on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And so why don't we get into, I said, the finish, right? The bells and whistles, all the AI, all the fun stuff that we love, that I think will be helpful for everyone to hear about that in our experience with them. So why don't we talk about the first one, Ken, which is Co-Counsel. I think people have heard of it.
Yeah.
But can you describe and share your experience with that?
Yeah. So what is Co-Counsel? Co-Counsel is a generative AI assistant for lawyers, is how they sort of build it. One interesting thing about Co-Counsel is that, they were an independent company, a company called CaseTex. Co-Counsel, that feature, that product got bought out by Thomson Reuters, by Westlaw. And now it's a part of Westlaw's universe. And I think that's really important for many reasons. And kind of tell you guys what it does and why that's really important. But I think more than anything, the fact that it got bought out by Westlaw, I think it's a stamp on, the quality and what it was. And we actually started using it before they got bought out. And I think it only strengthens what Co-Counsel does by getting bought out by them.
Right.
I think there's two sort of components of what Co-Counsel is. One is that Co-Counsel can help in many of sort of like core competency things with a law firm, like reviewing documents, preparing for depo, searching databases, summarization, all that sort of stuff, drafting letters, just like you hear, ChatGPT, and I'll tell you how that's a little bit different, though I'm better, Co-Counsel is. And then there's also this AI research component where it can also create memos. With the AI research component, it's so cool that it got bought out by Westlaw, by Thomson Reuters, because the big fear that people have with ChatGPT and the scary stories we've heard, right, is that especially when it first came out, lawyers started using ChatGPT and it would ideate, it would make up case law, and people would use that in court and get in trouble. And so then people hear that and they're like, yeah, I'm never using ChatGPT, right? I'm never using AI like that. And I get it. With Co-Counsel, though, is that they have that same ability. It's because it's trained on ChatGPT, and they had actually early access to it. So like all of that works the same way, but it isn't placed into the known universe. It's not just on the internet and you can grab and make up things from anywhere. It only lives within Westlaw's universe. And Westlaw is just actual cases and case law, right? And so it's not going to make up cases because it only lives within that universe, that world alone. And so I think it makes it more secure in terms of our legal research, more reliable as well. And so, yeah, it can create memos. Like, I mean, I've asked it, hey, I have this legal question, I need you to research this, in California, blah, blah, blah. And it'll give me a memo, and a pretty good memo. And once again, with all these AI things, I heard this a long time ago, and it sort of is our mentality with all AI, is that you treat AI as if it's the best first-year associate that you could have, right? You're still going to review the work. It's not like you take that and just go, oh, yeah, whatever this says, it's whatever this great first-year associate says must be true. And you're still going to review it. But it got you 70%, 80% of the way there. And it's the same thing here. And once again, this is just a product that you have, and you can set it to do as much work as possible, right? So that's the research component of it. And then the other component is that it can review documents, right? And I've done this on so many occasions. Let's say I'm prepping for a depo, for example, right? And there's a lot of medical records to go through, and I know that they're going to be asking my client about a certain body part that was injured, or that was where he was injured, and I got records now going back X amount of years. Maybe you haven't had time to read through a couple thousand pages of records, but you said it. You said it like, hey, give me every single instance where my client has complained about left leg pain, for example, and it'll tell you if there exists or if it doesn't exist and on what date. And it's amazing in that respect because you're able to do so much, and you can ask it more things and more specific information. And so I really love what Co-Counsel does, and it really the name is appropriate. It's Co-Counsel. It's a Co-Counsel that you can have to do work. And I often put it into tasks, and it's just on a separate browser. And I love this feature that they have where it's just like email me when it's complete. So like I don't even have to be like checking in, just like email me when it's complete, and I keep working on all the other things that I got to do, right? And then I just get an email when it's done, review it, okay, cool, right? And I really like it.
Yeah, I find it helpful as well. Just being, we learned some basic, research stuff in law school, but or like looking through medical records, like I said, all that stuff takes time. But this saves a lot of it. And especially when you're a solo or a small firm, right? You got to keep moving. Your case is moving. We're a 2-attorney firm. And yeah, it's important to just not let things fall through the cracks, or to be able to move cases in a timely manner. So this, like I said, it's Co-Counsel. It's a tool to help speed that up. Yeah. Whatever case you're working on. So
100%.
I think it's been really, really helpful.
In so many ways, because something like another thing I thought of was like depositions, for example. Do a depo summary for me. This deposition, we recently took over a case and we're heading to trial on it. So it's not like we've done all the work in that case. We're going to try the case. Right. And so we're getting caught up in the case. You're still going to read through the depos, right? But I just kind of want an understanding of what has been done. So like upload the depo, give me a depo summary, right? Upload all of the depositions of the defendant's employees. Can you give me a summary of any contradictions, any areas where these guys have contradicted themselves? And then it tells you, right? And it's really cool. I like it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do we want to go through quickly some of the Filevine AI? You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Tools that they've been implementing over the past few months, years?
Yeah. So, Filevine has an AI suite that's an added component to their case management system. We looked at it for I think a few months, right? Because we were sort of like considering before pulling the trigger, because we tend to do that like with any decision that we make on this AI stuff. It's like we really want to know what is it about and how is it going to benefit is it something we're going to use and is it going to benefit our practice, right? Ultimately our clients. And we ultimately pulled the trigger on it, and I really like it. It does things. I think one of the two things I'll point out is that, for example, with medical records, I mentioned earlier that there's on Filevine, like on the left-hand side, you'll see like these different sections, and one is medicals, right? And so in the medical section is where all my clients' treatment is going to be. From the emergency department that they went to, so there'll be a card for the emergency department, then their primary care or any physical therapy, any surgery, whatever facility that my client has gone to, there will be an independent card. And then the medical records will be inside of each one of those cards. Now, you upload the medical records, so now you're organized, and it's cool because you have everything there, and it's much better than just having something in the storage, document storage, like Dropbox, for example. But now, taking it a step further, what Filevine AI has done is that now it'll summarize those medical records for me, right, so that I can see it. It'll identify things like the CPT codes, the ICD codes, give me a medical summary, a chronology. And it does all that within that card. So when I open up, for example, we just got records, emergency department records. What is it? What was the treatment done? What was the diagnosis? What was found? Right. You can see all of that summarized. Maybe they went through physical therapy. Same thing. See all of that summarized immediately, sort of on demand, right? And it's really cool because it helps you get up to speed on a case. And you're going to want to look through the records anyways, but you see it there so much quicker. And so I really like that. And then on top of that, they also have this demands AI component where you can create demands. we'll mention a little bit later, like they also have like EvenUp is another company that does AI demands. And, I think everybody is still trying to improve in all those areas, right?
Yes,
And I think Filevine as well, similarly, right? We've had sort of glitches on that as well. But it nonetheless helps me, once again, get 70% of the way there. And I'm still going to review it. But now I didn't have to put everything together like I typically do. And it cut, maybe you were going to spend 2 hours working on something. Now it's like 45 minutes. And goodness, you got back all that time.
Right.
So they have an AI suite. I like it. I definitely encourage people to take a look at it and learn more about it. They have other things coming out. That's like they have this thing called Depot Copilot now that you can have set up during your Zoom depositions or even live depositions, and it'll be sort of transcribing and analyzing things. You can set goals before the depo, and it'll tell you you've fulfilled the goals and you've gotten the testimony that you need. So everybody's trying to do new and cool things. It's exciting, and as we tell everybody, hey, just check it out and give it a shot, and before you ultimately commit.
Yeah, a lot of great things there. And I'll even mention last one on Filevine, they've even come out with like a client portal. So people maybe attorneys have heard of. I'm excited about that. There's other tools such as Hona, it's a third party which integrates with Filevine to be able to communicate with clients. We do text a lot, but with our clients, sending things back and forth. But I do like that Filevine has added this for all Filevine users, client portal. So I'm working on setting that up right now. So maybe next year, when we do our other 2026 video, I'll have an update how that works. And it's just a way to communicate with clients. They can send photos when, as their case moves along, let's say it's in the pre-lit, but then we send a demand, they'll be able to know, that your case demand has been sent out, or when there's a resolution, there's ways to customize it. When to send notifications to clients. And I think what we want to do, especially with legal, or what I love to see with the legal, how things are going, is trying to make communication as easy, as smooth as possible with clients. Just as we can get a quick response or can know what's going on with, let's say you submit a message to Apple or, Best Buy or any of these other businesses. I feel that, AI or law firms should also do the same thing. How can we better communicate with our clients as well? How can they stay up to speed? Maybe that's a complaint as well, is that maybe people don't know what's going on in their case. But if we can better utilize the tools that are out there, we can help keep clients informed so that they stay satisfied, because that's important to us as 100%. Well. So there's that with Filevine. And quickly, I guess, with EvenUp, do you want to talk about that, how we're using it?
Yeah. Sorry, just one thing on what you just said, Sharon, because I think it's so important, is that matters so much to us, client satisfaction and communication, that they know that they can contact us at any time. And whatever makes it easier for them to stay up to date is so important. And I think particularly for solos and small firm is that's one of the ways, many ways, but that you can differentiate yourself from any other firms, is that you are available to your clients, right? And it doesn't mean that, they contact you at all times, right? But because you become so available to them that they can contact you in many different ways, like what we've noticed in particular is that we don't have that with our clients, right? That they're calling us all the time because they feel that they're informed. They get notifications. They know kind of what's happening. So, unless something happened at the doctor's that they want to let us know, and they're just kind of giving us an update, like we're not getting a bombardment of like calls from our clients because they already feel that they can contact us, they're heard, and because that we are doing that, but they feel it, and that's so important, right? And it's all these additional tools that help that in particular. All right, so you mentioned EvenUp. EvenUp is one of these companies that does demand letters, and then they also do medical chronologies. Now, demand letters, I can't talk too much about them. I'm not going to spend too much time on them right now. We've seen some of their stuff, and I just have never personally done that through them. What I do through EvenUp and what we've done is MedChrons, and the medical chronologies. I love that product. It's so cool. It's you upload all these medical records that you have in your file. For example, we're going to trial on a case, and uploaded all the medical records. Again, we took over the case recently, and it's not like you know everything because you just got the case. You upload all the records, and it'll give you not just the medical chronology as people usually know it, but it's color coded. There's a timeline, clear timeline of all the previous appointments or times that they went to the hospital at this facility, and everything thereafter. It points out any problematic issues or appointments within the medical records. It can produce a PDF, but they also have an online version that's very interactive. And all of a sudden you get like this very in-depth chronology of your case and understanding of what your client went through. And man, I absolutely love that. I'm a big fan. And one thing I do know is that EvenUp can be a bit pricey, and they have a subscription model. So it's a little bit different. So if you're interested, I'd ask you, I'd say, hey, like go check it out. More than free to call us as well, and we can talk to you. But in terms of the chronology itself, definitely, I think that's something that is helpful and useful.
Definitely. All right. What about PareIT? That's another thing we have here.
Yeah, you know what? PareIT, maybe I'll talk about it in the context of this company called ChartSquad, because now they got bought out by ChartSquad. Now it's a component of ChartSquad. So ChartSquad, I think I want to make sure that we emphasize this when we're talking about ChartSquad, because, it's about medical records. It's getting medical records.
Yes.
Okay. And I think so many people, I worked at a large firm for many years, and, we had a way of getting medical records. Maybe you'd hire an attorney service to do that. And, it'd always take a long time because that's kind of what happened. This was pre the technological innovation, right? Pre, 2020 COVID, right? Where really everything sort of took off. But I realize in talking to so many people now is that I assume everybody's using something like ChartSquad, but many people still aren't, whether it's solo small firms and even large firms, medium-sized firms that may not be using something like ChartSquad, that they're still sending requests maybe directly to the hospital, and then they have to be checking by phone every now and then. It's the staff that's doing it, but checking to see if the records are coming yet, and just kind of going back and forth, and you're just kind of waiting forever. Okay, the records are ready, then they're going to get mailed out. Did they get mailed out? Did we get them? Like, where is it? Where are the records? And all that time that passes, and you want the records as soon as possible and to be able to access them as quickly as possible. And so what ChartSquad does, and not to mention, by the way, the cost. That's another thing, the cost, because many times you have to pay per page, right? So, we've had cases where like there's 20,000 pages of medical records, right? And that's going to be a lot of money, right? And ChartSquad is this it's a company. It's software, kind of. It's just available online, a portal, probably the best way to put it, a portal. And what they do is that they make the requests. You make the request for your client. You create a profile for your client and make the request. And their company goes and gets the records. And when they're available, they're uploaded directly onto the portal. You get a notification, and you can simply download it. You don't have to do the calls back and forth. It's ChartSquad that's doing all of that. You don't have to pay per page. It's a flat fee, because the way that they work, and a flat fee, we're talking about like $35. Because what is it that they do is that they make the request. Every single person is entitled to their medical records. Every single person is entitled to the medical records.
Right.
And if they make the request, the hospital facility has to give it to them, right? And so what ChartSquad does is it makes the request coming from the individual, from the patient, from the client. Right? So it's not the firm that's making the request. The client has authorized us to send in those requests for them, but the request itself has the client's name in it, right, directly. And so ChartSquad then goes and gets the records from these places, from the facilities, from the hospital, and the hospital has to release those at that $35 price, whatever it is. And so it's super quick. You get it in the portal, and it's available. It's a flat fee, no contracts. You don't have to pay subscription. There's none of that. It tracks all the retrieval activity. And I love it, and I encourage everybody to use it. There's many different types of companies, but ChartSquad is something that we use and we really, really like. What they've acquired now is the company called PareIT, and PareIT, PareIT. And now you can take the records that you've obtained through ChartSquad, and it generates medical chronologies as well. PareIT was created by an expert that is used, that plaintiff and defense attorneys both use, and was very good about creating a great sort of program. And so it does a really good job of creating these chronologies. Again, it's very interactive. It organizes things for you. So I definitely would encourage you to use it and try it out. I think they might still have some sort of free trials available. And so like try it out. It's really, really cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And surprisingly, I think we talked to firms or other attorneys who don't know about this stuff.
Yeah.
Don't know about ChartSquad and are still doing it kind of the old-fashioned way that you described earlier. Yeah. And so I think it's not only beneficial for the firm, but for the client as well.
100%.
Right? Keep the cases moving effective and efficient.
Yeah.
Right.
And your staff is going to love it.
Oh,
They're not going to fight it. They're going to love it, especially once they understand it. They'll love it. It'll make their lives easier.
That's great, Ken. So thank you for that. How about quickly we talk about Steno, what they have.
Yeah. Look,
Transcript Genius.
Steno is a court reporting service. The biggest thing sort of kind of where they launched several years ago is their idea of delay pay, non-recourse as well. So basically you can, most places, most court reporting agencies, you have to pay upfront or, pay net 30, whatever it is, after deposition. These guys don't. You don't have to pay them. It's when you recover on a case, when you settle the case, that's when you pay them. And they have different pricing models such that you can also do a non-recourse delay pay, so that if you don't recover anything on the case, you don't pay them anything either. Yeah. Right. Now, those ones their pricing is a little bit higher because you decide to do that. Should there be a settlement and get that? But I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's worth it 100%. And think about how many depots you might be taking and have to do, particularly in a plaintiff's firm, contingency firm, where, it might be a lot of those. There also might be considerations about how much we're advancing all the costs, right, as plaintiff firms, right? And so having this option is great. And they're really good with tech, with technology, and they've incorporated now AI as well, such that they have this thing called Transcript Genius that you can use the depositions that are on the portal there and interrogate the depositions, ask questions across multiple transcripts, find information that you want, and it doesn't just do keyword searches. It will do searches based on concepts and ideas, and so it's really cool. And so they're not only providing this amazing service to you, you also get to use this Transcript Genius without paying anything. It's not like an added cost to you be able to use this. No, if you use Steno, you can use this service.
Yeah, love that. And what about EsquireTek? Now some discovery tool, great discovery tool.
Yeah, EsquireTek is just, I don't know, it's just amazing. I feel like many people know about this now, and if you don't, what EsquireTek is that it just helps with discovery. But it helps with discovery. It was also created by Pratik Shah, who we've also had on our podcast, Art of Purpose. He's an amazing attorney at Panish Shea Ravipudi, and he's also the CEO of EsquireTek, founder and CEO. And his whole thing was transcript is a thing that nobody ever wants to do, right? It takes forever to create shells.
Discovery.
Sorry, what did I say?
You said transcript.
My bad. I was reading something else here.
No, it's okay.
Discovery is a thing that nobody ever wants to do. It takes forever just to create templates, just to create shells, right? You have to copy, paste. Goodness, it would take forever. You could spend 2 hours just doing templates before you even gotten to do the work. Now with EsquireTek, once you get the discovery from opposing counsel, you just upload the PDFs. It'll create shells for you. And most importantly, you're able to send like a link to your client where they can start answering things. You can send it to their emails, to desktop, to phones, however they want to answer, and they can just start answering and typing things out. Clients love it. It's so much easier for them. One of my worries is initially was that I knew that our technologically advanced clients, especially younger clients, would be fine and they'd love it, right? Because they'd just be typing or even on their phones, just answer all form logs, special logs, requests for production. They could attach documents. They could do all that. And by the way, you'd get that back. It would create then the final discovery and then you're done, right? It's like, wow, look at how quick and fast it was. Saved so much time. My worry was, what about, we have a lot of also Spanish-speaking clients who may be older in age, right? Or maybe just not technologically advanced, right? And so like, how would we be able to do that? How, or would they be able to answer? And it's not just Spanish-speaking clients. It could just be any older clients that may just not be great with technology. What we've learned is that, many times and often they have loving family, right, who cares about everything that's gone through them with them as well. And you can send it to, the daughter, adult son, whoever it is, and they'll help them, right? And they will type in all the answers, and you'll get those just as quick as well. So it's super easy to do. It streamlines your process. It improves your workflow. And now discovery is not a thing that you dread because you know that you can get it done quicker. You're not like, oh, I got to set aside a whole day to do this. No, quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. And what about getting close to the end here, what about Whippy?
Yeah.
What is Whippy?
Whippy is how do I put it, man? Whippy does a lot. It could be an AI, the web chat, the chat that's on a website that comes up. It can create sequences, integrations. Maybe I'll let you talk about the sequences, Sharon. But one thing that I really like about Whippy is that there's an app on your phone. It's also available online. But is that, especially early on when we started, when we opened up, I'd give my clients my cell phone because that's how they could quickly send me photographs and send me things. And then all of a sudden you start getting a lot of texts, and fine, that's great. I'm okay with that. But then it wouldn't necessarily be available on our case management system, or kind of things would be getting lost. And then sometimes maybe you don't want to give out your cell phone, right? And with Whippy, it took our office number, right, and such that anybody who texts our office number, we can text back and forth with them. But, and I love that because now clients aren't going, because with Filevine, by the way, we were able to also give each client a text-only number, right? So we would tell them, hey, text only this number if you want to send us photos and interact with us or speak with us. But now they have an office number, they have my cell phone, they have a file number. So
a lot of ways to contact
us. There's so many ways to contact us, but it was also like they might not remember all those numbers, right? Or save all those things. Like ideally, I'd want them to save it, put this is a case number, this is but like that doesn't always happen, right? And most of the time, people would still be trying to text our office number, right? And we did have it set up so that we could receive texts. But what Whippy does is that you're able to assign clients to a particular staff member or attorney, which I love so much. Because now, if the only thing they ever know is our office number, they can call the office number, they can text the office number. And if, for example, a client is assigned to me, when they text our office number, it'll come to me. When they text our office number, but they're assigned to Sharon, it'll go to Sharon.
Right.
And when we respond, it'll still come from our office number, but it came from me, or it came from Sharon, or it came from anybody else on our staff.
Yes.
And the only thing the client ever knew is that was the office number, which is awesome. It makes it easy. Sharon, you also put an extension, it's an extension on Google Chrome, such that any numbers that are, when we're on Filevine, and if we have a client number there, I can click the number if I want to text them, and Whippy pops up there, slides over, and I could just text them and close that. And so now it's a part of Filevine as well, right? So that's what's really cool. I don't have to go to the app. I don't have to go anywhere else. Like, I'm just on Filevine, and we're able to interact with our clients, and they can interact with me.
Yes. So love Whippy, that you can use it within Filevine. But they do have a really smooth app that you can have it on your phone.
Yeah.
You have it on your iPad here. And things for us that are important is, getting Google reviews, even for a smaller firm, and we're new, we're only like 5 years in. Google reviews are important too, and you still want to get those, and they still help. So, when we're closing a case, I can send a sequence that gets sent to the client, and ask them as well, like, how do you think, how was your time with us, service, on a scale of 1 to 5? They rated a 5. Then they're like, oh, great. Can you give us a Google review, please? Like, this will help us out, in spreading the word, and other people who need help can reach out to us. It's kind of our message.
Yeah.
And then it'll send kind of reminders as well. So I don't have to do it manually, because before we started using it, we were just texting ourselves. And we had to remember, like, got to text them again to get a Google review. Again, it's just like those little things that, you don't want to take up too much headspace. There's automations that can send those reminders about getting Google reviews.
Yeah.
And even when and they got some great support with Whippy, setting certain things up. Really they helped me a lot with many things.
Yeah.
And one of those things was sending like automated text as well. Let's say someone fills out our form on our website, boom, that gets hit to Whippy as well. And Whippy will send a message. Hey, we received your submission. Are you available for a call? Again, as PI firms, we know it's important to get to clients or potential clients as soon as possible. So Whippy helps as well in setting those automated responses. Or if you're running like an ad on Google or Meta, you can set things up where if they submit a message, submit a form, that can communicate to Whippy as well, send a message, get the conversation going with that lead, that potential client. So there's a lot of great things about Whippy. We love it, and it helps us. Again, communication is very important to us with our clients and with potential clients. So it's just been a great addition, and we're already 1 year in, and it's something we're going to continue to
100%,
use.
Yeah.
And so finally, Ken, we added this as well, some content creation tools, just to finish things off here. And that's something that for us, again, as a smaller firm, a couple years in, how do we build our business, get some awareness out there? We found the way for us, we did it with social media. And I think whether, you're trying to build your personal brand, or if you're a firm, trying to build your business as well, I think being on social media, creating content is a great way to do that, to get potential clients to know you, maybe even referring attorneys as well. It's just a great way to get yourself out there, to get people to know you, connect with you, and see you as an expert as well in your field. And so that's why, it's something that we've kind of put time in, is building a social media presence, which can help create authority, credibility, and omnipresence. And people over the years have asked us kind of what we use, what tools are we using, even the equipment that we have here, how are we doing this stuff. So I wanted to share quickly just some
also,
things.
because people think that there's like this huge team, right? Because of the quality as well. And I think you do a great job. Obviously, that's all Sharon. And I think Sharon's point in all of this is like, hey, you can do it too.
Yeah, and that's the goal. I want to make it as easy as possible, because if you're a solo or small firm, you got so many cases, so many things that you need to attend to. And then on top of that, you got to focus a little bit on marketing. And there are a lot of great tools as well that can help save time and help speed up the workflow in terms of creating content for you, for your brand, for your business. So quickly, some content creation tools that I use, CapCut. It's a great way. It's an app, and you can add, there's a lot of video templates in there that you can use. You create videos on there, add captions. And what I love, even Instagram, Facebook, they have a lot of those features as well. So maybe you don't need CapCut. I think Instagram has a lot of great tools there too, to be able to create those captions, add music, to any of your videos, any of that stuff. Canva is still, I think, is a popular thing used to create graphics. So you want to create graphics. I find it really simple and easy to use. And you as well like using it. And you have a Photoshop background. And I know you enjoy using it as well.
That's easy.
In terms of other things, in terms of like video editing, we use Adobe Premiere Pro. So this video, I'm going to put it in Adobe Premiere Pro, but I use a plugin that's called Autopod that'll cut all of this up. So I don't have to do it myself. It uses AI as well to cut all these things all these shots that you're seeing. So I love using that as well. And then to put this stuff on social media, well, we're going to put this video on YouTube, but then we're going to cut clips of it and put it on social media. So what do I use to help me create those short form clips? I use Opus Clip. I think there's other great ones too, but Opus Clip is the one that we use. And it'll use AI, again, to figure out what are some really good clips from this video that you can post to social media. And you can edit it how you want. I mean, in an Instagram, you can add music, all that stuff. Again, can help speed up the workflow and to get more content out there. And also ChatGPT. I do use it. Again, we're not using it for the case stuff, but I am using ChatGPT to help me come up with ideas, in terms of marketing. Sometimes, you're trying to think of something different, something fresh, use ChatGPT, help you come up with ideas. So I love all of that. And if anyone is interested, what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description to all the tools that, some of the tech tools that I recommend that we use, and even to all this equipment. There have been questions that we've gotten where people have asked, what tools or what equipment are we using? And so what cameras are we using, the lights and all of that. So it's not AI, but it is like tech and gear that we use, and more than happy to share that. So if you look in the description, it'll be there and you can download all of that. So that's very quickly on content creation, which is it still important for our business. And any tips and closing thoughts, Kenny, as we end this video?
Just you mentioned it earlier. I think it was key. It's just it takes time to test the products and also to improve it once you have it, right? And it's a commitment to that, but ultimately it's a commitment. It ultimately is for the best of your practice and for your clients, and it will just help you out, and you'll be, I think, happier to use some of these tools, implement some of these things, because it'll make your life better as a practicing attorney and just as a human being that wants also to have some of their time back.
Yeah. So tech and AI, it's here to stay as we see it. So get exposed to it, learn about it. You said test it out, take those meetings.
That's key. Yeah.
Even if you're interested in the product, maybe you don't want to commit to it just here, you just want to learn about it. Take the meetings with these companies.
Because we've done that so much.
And even if we didn't go forward with them, we just took the meeting and we're like, oh, maybe in the future, or, maybe not right now.
And that has happened, right? Is in the future, we were like, you know what, let's pull the trigger on this now because I really liked it. We just didn't need it then, or maybe we were in a position to get it then, but now let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. And so we hope that this has been helpful, has provided some value. If you have any questions on this, any of the tools or experiences with products, any of this, feel free to reach out to any of us. Our information is also in the description. And we look forward to learning. Again, we're still learning a lot more, and we're going to continue to learn, continue to get better. And we just want to share what we've learned so far and share that with you.
Yeah. And there'll be more stuff next year, I guess.
So thank you for sticking it out with us. And thanks, Ken, for your thoughts and insights in this conversation. Alrighty. Till next time. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.